Hello and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ojubakun. Today on the program, Boko Haram kills 223 civilians, security agents in 7 months as Northeast governors inform President Muhammadu Buhari that insurgents are recruiting. Federal government warns that coronavirus is still very much around as a number of deaths approach 1,000 mark. Akeredolu reconciles with Boroface Kikemeke and other aggrieved APC leaders in Ondo State, urges them to work for the party's victory. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mobolade Omonijo will be joining us via Skype. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. An investigation has revealed that Boko Haram killed 223 civilians, 82 soldiers, and 7 policemen in 7 months. Daily Trust newspaper said the killings occurred between January and August in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states. 21 civilians and 13 soldiers were injured during the same period. In more frightening news from the Northeast, governors who met the president on Monday is that the insurgents were recruiting more members. That's a frightening news, Babajide, because I remember that I was asking you, was it last week or yesterday, that the more you kill these people, the more the more their number increases. That how are they getting people? So it was when Governor Sulum met with the president and some of the other counterparts in the northeast that some of them identified poverty, extreme poverty, as a big factor that Boko Haram keep capitalizing and they keep recruiting our own children.
Yes, because they've got money to spend on people in an area where poverty is very, very prevalent, poverty is endemic. They will find people who will be ready to work with them. And don't also forget that sometimes when they invade the community, they kidnap people, they take them away. So those that are taken away, the young people that are taken away are usually conscripted, forced to fight on their side. There are communities that they attack, they leave only the very old people alone. You go to some communities, after Boko Haram attack, you see maybe a woman as old as almost 90 years. She's the only one roaming around in the area. That is what they do. The able-bodied people, they will take away. Some
They
of
are
them,
taking the young girls that
yes,
can
they
cook
take
for
the
them.
youngest away to cook for them or marry their commanders. They force them to marry their commanders. So this is their nature. There's no community that they attack that they don't manage to take people away, kidnap people. It's not in all cases that they kidnap for ransom, because they know such poor people have not got money to give them, but they will be useful
They
to
look for
them.
strategic people to
Yes,
kidnap for ransom.
they'll be useful to them, and then subject them to all forms of indoctrination. They preach to them that look, it is their own version of Islam that is the best, this and that they should not respect.
And a man that is not educated, that is poor, is so vulnerable to anything.
Yes,
So at that stage, you
see,
can.
they go to Niger Republic. A lot of these communities that are really very close to Nigeria, they go there and recruit people. The BBC once did a documentary on this. They recruit young people and they give them drugs. Remember some time ago, a lorry load, an articulated truck full of tramadol was intercepted on its way to Sambisa forest. So once they give these young people tramadol or any of these illicit drugs, they have no care in the world. They are ready to kill. Because something must drive this kind of campaign of bloodletting. People can't just open their eyes and simply start killing people. Indoctrination must happen, and then the use of drugs.
And they hide under the guise of
The
religion.
use of drugs, all kinds of terrible drugs, they make available to these guys, and then they just go and do the job. If you see from the survey that Daily Trust conducted, they are still killing people in Yobe, Adamawa State. But I read somewhere that Boko Haram has been flushed out of everywhere except Borno State. I disagree. The Boko Haram is still present in Adamawa State. In fact, during the last election, there were wards, and I know that the federal lawmakers representing Adamawa State can corroborate what I'm saying. There were wards where election did not take place at all because it was not safe. Boko Haram is running riots in some communities in Adamawa State. The Madagali area, all of those places, they are still there. Communities not far away, yes, some of the wards in the Mubi area, communities not far away from Goza. You know, Goza is not far from Adamawa State. Some of those communities, they are still there. Communities not far from Uba in Borno State, the Boko Haram is there. So we can't say that they've left those two, or they've been flushed out. Who flushed them out? You go to, what was it called? Yobe State. In Yobe State, the Gaydam area, Boko Haram still has its cells in the Gaydam area. All of the attacks that they've launched on Yobe communities like Babangida, like even Buniyadi and Bunigeri have been launched from the Gaydam area because that area is well forested. They come in from that area. So it is not true that they've been flushed out of everywhere except Borno State. And as we are even hearing now, which the VOA has confirmed, Boko Haram elements, ISWAP elements, some of them have relocated to the northwest.
That's Niger State, uncle.
So it's not Borno alone. We must collectively fight these people and realize that we are in a very, very difficult situation.
But when you see the figures that we keep churning out, it might not be accurate, but then it's worrisome that in the space of 7 months, you're talking about 223 civilians, 82 soldiers. It is significant that a terrorist organization can kill 82 soldiers and 7 policemen in just 7 months.
Well, the figures can't be accurate, but I guess they are even very conservative.
Yes.
I think there is a whole lot more going on. And again, it is true that life is the most precious thing, and we should look at lives. But there are so many other ramifications of this war in which it's affecting even the livelihoods of the people. People who have been in IDPs for years now, I mean, what kind of life do they have? The children who are born there, what kind of future do they have? So you have the hardwares and code that are carted away, the cost to the nation, the cost to the people, the cost to the states. These are all very serious matters. Then now talk about lives. It's a shame that for more than 11 years we've been on this thing and we don't seem to be seeing light at the end of this tunnel. It's a very long and dark tunnel. We do not see the end of it all. And every time in recent times, of course, the president has been promising, he's been talking of rejigging, he's been giving instructions, but we want to see manifestation of these instructions and orders in terms of changes, in terms of improvements. Talking about whether you have improvements in other parts of the Northeast, yes, we may say there is some improvement in Gombe, in Bauchi, in Taraba, and so on. But even at that, there is nothing that is secure. Because for as long as you have it so endemic in Borno State and filtering into Yobe, and then flashes in Adamawa, you know that they might be regrouping, and anytime they can just come in there. So the state governments cannot plan, they do not know. Then you know that so much of money that should have been used for human development will be going to these security matters. So we need to come up with tactics to be able to flush these people out. It's taking too long. It's taking so much of a toll on our national resources, on our people. The Northeast, there was a survey by the Ideas, I think it was a commission or so, in the early 2000s, and they came up with, and they went around the country, all the 6 zones, and they said the Northeast is the poorest of the 6 zones in the country, and yet we now have this. If we were to do such a survey now, what will it come up with? I mean, we've disrupted so much of livelihood, even the farming that the people lived on. They cannot go to the farms again. Like Jide just said now, in most of the villages where they have attacked, it's only old women and old men. These old men and old women, what kind of life are they living? They don't have their families around them. They don't have people to support them. These are serious things. The pillars of the society are crumbling, and we are not finding a way of working at it. All I have seen are, yes, we need to do this, or we are doing something, we are putting your best, or your best is not good enough. We have to see it in action. We must see it in action.
I can just imagine how Governor Zulum, how pained is going to be talking with Mr. President, because it will be difficult for him to convey everything he is going through to Mr. President, because he knows that he's with the commander-in-chief. The buck stops on Mr. President's table. But this is not a matter of sentiment. It's not how much he can shout or what he can, the pictures they can paint. So, but I can tell you that in the entire Northeast, Borno State will say, look, I know I am a sizable proportion of the brunt. I'm bearing it, and I can tell you that, look, it's not easy. This is where the show is pains so much and it pains so bad. Mr. President, do something.
Yes, if that was the message, fine, but not that they've been flushed out. What I don't like hearing is to give the impression that, oh, these guys, we've defeated them, there's no problem. I've been warning for years. I've been warning for years that the enemy has not been defeated. And we can all see the evidence. 82 persons were killed. 82 civilians were killed in one village. In Borno State, in one day. In Ganze local government. One day. It was this Governor Zulum that went there. It was this Governor Zulum that went there and the people now told him that this is the number of persons they killed. So this is a big problem. So on the issue of whether they flushed them, they've not flushed them completely out of Borno, of Yobe and Adamawa, and I can prove it. Now, the thing is, it's important that he goes to the president, that he lets the president know what's going on. Because the president has been misled so many times. If the president can read a speech in which he said that the people have returned to their homes, that the IDP camps have been shot, then you then know.
Some people are misleading the people.
Yes, you then will have the feeling that the president does not even know the extent of the problem. The IDPs, there are still more than 20 IDPs functional in Borno State as we speak.
Even being the state government in partnership with the federal government actually feeding them on a daily basis.
A lot of what is seized, the imported rice that is seized, gets taken to the Northeast to feed IDPs. The governor, there are IDPs from Borno State in Niger Republic. That's where they've been for years. And this governor has gone there to give them clothes, to give them food. He knows where the shoe pinches. So it's important that he tells the president, and I hope the president will believe him, rather than believe some of the people who lied to him. Because you can't say IDPs have returned home. Aina Kakoma Gida. When did they go home? They've not gone home. You go to the IDP camp in Monguno, it's filled to the brim. You go to the one that is called Teachers Village, it's filled to the brim. So this is the thing. He needs to get his message across to the number one man in the country.
Taiwo is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for holding on, Taiwo. Hello, Taiwo.
Hello.
Thank you for holding on.
Thank you so much.
All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening, Ayo.
Yes, good evening. You don't have to listen to your TV set.
Good evening, Ayo.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. Babajide, good evening.
I greet you. Good evening.
Of the truth is that we need to call on God Almighty. Honestly speaking, we need to call on God. I think we cannot undo this again. Let's tell ourselves the gospel truth. I don't know. When you roll out that figures, I put my hand on my head. I say, wow, in this country, and we find it difficult to. I am short of words. In fact, water is coming out of my eyes as I am talking. Ayo, what is going on with our country? You mean an ordinary ragtag soldier, we cannot handle them? If it were to be the real war, what are we going to do? In fact, I am 100% short of words. I just pray God will come to our aid. Keep on doing the good work. My regards to Babajide.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you. Taiwo called us from Lagos, and because we see these things every day, and if to some people we're even sounding like broken records, and but when you see the figures, you see the number, and you see what is happening, and I don't know what happened in Lebanon. Was it last week? We've had senior government officials. They've been resigning.
resigned.
But when you compute the
The
figure
government
together,
itself.
the number of people that died at the end of the day, and check the people that we've lost in the northeast to Boko Haram.
I said one day 82 persons in one village. They
Just-
gathered them at the well, pretended that they wanted to preach to them, and they separated the very elderly women, put them, not one, they didn't want a single man to stand, but I think one or two managed to escape. They slaughtered all the men in the village. 82 persons. The governor went there for himself to see things. 82 in one day. That's why even that figure, 223, I don't believe.
want to
It's
raise-
higher than that.
No, it's conservative.
I don't believe. In one village.
Bolade,
Yes.
it's moving further now. You are a cleric, and the last person that called actually said we need divine intervention.
Yes, it's right. We need divine intervention. God is always ready to assist us, but we also must work. You know, it was Apostle James who wrote that faith without works is dead. We must also be ready to plan. We must also be ready to work. We must be conscientious. We must be truthful. We must be sincere. When we do all this and we call upon God, God is always ready to accede to the cries of his people. But then, like Apostle Paul also said, can we continue in sin and ask grace to abound?
He said
It's
never.
not possible. We said never. Certainly not. So we need to really we need to walk. Even the children of Israel, when they were passing through their way to the promised land, they had to fight wars. God supported them, but they were ready to walk. They were ready to listen to God and to do the will of God. And anytime they refused to do it, they got punished.
Yes. Always get punished.
Thank you, Bolade. I know Bolade is a equivalent of a pastor in his church. So, and Jide too is trailing. He has gone to still to
Me, I'm a choir person.
okay. Still to come. Federal government warns that coronavirus is still very much around as number of deaths approaches 1,000. Stay with us. For staying with us, Jide, before we round off on this, Mr. President, in between that meeting with the Northeast governors, actually said that he could have sent security agents in some of those states that was actually won by the opposition. What was Mr. President alluding to?
It was an unfortunate statement. There was no need to say that. The president is, in the Northeast, PDP snatched 2 states from the APC.
Okay.
That is Adama and Bauchi. But the APC too snatched 1 state in the same Northeast from the PDP, which is Gombe. So we was now saying to them that, look, we were mature. That's why we didn't use the military or the security agents to stop people from winning those days. So people outside Nigeria will now know the true complexion of our elections. That even governments in power can actually block the will of the people by using the armed forces.
I've seen it.
So the question is, if Jonathan had used the military, would you have won the election? The answer is no. And Jonathan was under pressure to use them. Because the PDP leaders were piling pressure on him to use. He wrote it in his book. That they were piling pressure on him. I remember even Sule Lamido in an interview at, I think, BBC Outside Service saying, look, we will win this election. Pata 4 days, there will be riots in the north, and we will use the military to quell the riots. But Jonathan was not ready for that. He was not going to allow the blood of Nigerians to be spilled because of elections. So there was no need for the president to say this, if not for the infighting within the APC. There's no way the PDP will have won Bauchi and Adamawa. And I started warning them from 2016 that the way they were going, they would take the state from them.
I remember Governor Bindo.
Yes, and I predicted that the states would be taken from them because they were fighting one another. So if they were fighting one another and they don't want their own party to win, and the opposition won, there is no need to now say you could have used the military. That shouldn't be a thing that you even say in public, even if it's in your heart.
All right, moving on now. The Nigerian government has warned that coronavirus is still very much around and has number of deaths approaches 1,000 mark. Nearly 6 months into Nigeria's battle against the COVID-19, the Presidential Task Force said Nigerians should exercise caution even as the country is this lockdown. 950 deaths have been reported from the more than 46,000 confirmed cases. 46,000 confirmed cases. Bolari, it is not. It's now getting very serious and worrisome now, and we've left that school of thought that coronavirus does not exist. Anybody saying that, just I'm sure somebody would have to tap that person to wake up. This is not real. Getting to like 1,000 threshold.
Well, it's not just even about the deaths. It's about the fact that I'm still very worried about the way we take the matter. It is true that most people now agree that there's coronavirus in Nigeria, but they still find a way of convincing themselves that the figures are manufactured. I've seen a number of people I've discussed with, even people who you think are knowledgeable and are learned. They will still say, yeah, but somebody is coming, NCDC is coming up with these figures. And I said, how? It is the states that are in charge of this. And people go there from time to time. Now you can see this. I don't understand why we cannot just know that this is a pandemic. It is all over the world. It's not only in Nigeria. And then they say that how can we do that they've not seen anybody and all that? How come Nigerian government that they cannot trust the government? And I say, well, maybe you can't trust Nigerian government. Can you trust the South African government? Have you seen the figures coming from South Africa? Are we not in the same geographical space? Can you see the figures coming from Egypt? Can you see the figures coming from Morocco, from Algeria? Can you see the figures coming from Kenya? These are, there's no doubt about it that it is everywhere in the world. At the last count, about 200 countries have the coronavirus, and it keeps growing. And even the United States and Co, they are still warning of the second wave everywhere. So we cannot afford to be complacent. The NCDC and the PTF, they keep telling us that we have not even reached the peak and that anything can come up anytime. That even though they are opening up because of the livelihood debates, that nonetheless we need to keep to the protocols. Unless we do that, we'll be playing with fire.
The very terrible one that happened over the weekend was Senator Buruji Kashamu. And Senator Buruji Kashamu, to be a staunch PDP member in Ogun State, and he's always had his own bloc of the People's Democratic Party, and it's so unfortunate that he died from the complication of COVID-19. And when you want to see the clips of his burial, and you'll be afraid that while we're trying to say people should self-isolate, keep the social distancing and everything, people can still cluster in a place to still say they want to pay their last respects and further aggravate this virus.
The crowd was too much. And to even get to the point where he was buried, it took a long time to create that pathway. Because the people, he was very popular, especially with the downtrodden in the society because of his generosity. They may talk about, Obasanjo and others might talk about his past as someone who had committed all kinds of crimes. But the truth is, he was very popular with the people, and he showed on the day of his burial with that large crowd. I'm not in any way encouraging the kind of past that he had, but because of his generosity, a lot of those people do not even know that he used to be known as a Shojinodu, or all they were after is this man had blessed us, in inverted commas, in many ways. Even in his house, because I was in Ogun State during the weekend, there are still cars that he had bought waiting to be distributed to people, you know, but it's gone. His death should remind us that this thing is real. All those who are deceiving themselves that COVID-19 is a scam, this and that, this is a very rich man that has fallen to it, and there have been so many other people, you know. So we have to continue to take the disease seriously so that our lives can be spared. The government has done its best. Campaigning, the PTF, they've done a good work of letting Nigerians know that we have a real and present danger. But our people, a lot of them, do not want to comply. They want to continue to live their lives the way they've always lived it. Well, I'm happy that even in all this, there are Nigerians who believe the government and are prepared to support the government in ensuring that we defeat this pandemic.
Okay, joining us on the line is Mr. Omar Alpha, and we want to ask you that what do you make of it? We're getting to that 1,000 mark.
Sorry, Ayo. How are you, Ayo?
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. I wanted to contribute on the terrorism aspect, not on the COVID-19.
All right. Go ahead, please.
I don't know if I can quickly do that.
Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening, Babajide.
Good evening.
My worries, Ayo, I think there is a problem of underfunding in the side of the military, which Senator Ali Ndume has said a few weeks ago. That is one. Secondly, the presidency blames lean resources and COVID-19 are the problems with insecurity. Why do we collect loan, Babajide? Why do we collect loan to build infrastructure when we cannot collect loan to build our military and fight terrorism? Those infrastructures we are building are going to be plied by human beings. If we don't exist, we will not ply those infrastructures. So please, I think there is a problem. I don't know, our encyclopedia, who we call Babajide here in the north, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the only time we have received any weapon on terrorism was the one that Jonathan ordered, the one that came in 2016. Apart from that, we haven't bought anything apart from the fighter jets we have ordered, and I don't think they have arrived. I don't know why we don't have money for that, and we cannot collect loan to buy weapons. We need to do that, and whatever it is, this government came in on the platform of fighting terrorism, corruption, and economy. These three things. If one is not done, I don't think we'll write our names in the books of history. Yeah. So that's my contribution.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good.
Omar, thank you for your contribution.
That's a point there.
Okay.
I think the president has promised that he will make weapons available. We have to continue to remind the president. This is another promise made. I think early last year, the president said he would make emergency funds for weapons procurement available to the armed forces. We need to remind him that that promise has to be kept. This one too, he told them that we are going to buy new weapons. We have always said that these new weapons will give us an advantage. You can imagine if you supply the police with APCs. Most of the APCs that the police used to have, most of them are dead. They are not moving anymore. They should correct me if I'm lying. I know where some of those APCs are. They are grounded. They are not moving. So we need to do something. If the police have enough APCs across the country, they will be able to secure us better. Because once you are inside it, you know that you have protection. The thick armor provides protection for you, and you can deal with the enemy. So the president has promised now that he will buy more weapons. He has to go ahead and buy it for the army and for the police, which will give them an edge over the enemy.
Mobalade, last going back to our topic now, last Sunday we had churches, coming back. How was it in your own end?
Yes. Not only in my own end, I'm also a journalist, so I get reports too. I think generally, number one, the churches made concerted efforts to comply with the guidelines, the protocols. Generally, not only in one church, people went round, then can also set up a compliance committee that went round and collected reports, which show that they really believed in fighting the thing alongside government. Then, you had the water, the social distancing, the sanitizer, the non-use of air conditioners. All those things were kept, at least where I worshipped and where I know I'm in my church, the Anglican Church, all through Lagos State. I know that. And in others, where reporters went, they came up with good reports. And people said, well, some people also did not come because they were not too sure of
safety.
Too sure whether we've been able to defeat the disease and all that. Yes, that may be true, but I also know that generally speaking, the churches also made efforts even before the day to see that you do not have too many people coming beyond the capacity allowed. Yes, there was low turnout, generally speaking. And you had churches where you had 4 sessions, of worship, or where they had smaller halls where they also had people. So I think the churches did well. Of course, if I learned that there are 1 or 2 errant people, unless you are in heaven and you have angels, there will not be 100% compliance.
Because some churches simply did not open, and they've said it. They're not interested in opening for now.
Yes, the truth is, those conditions that government has brought forward are very, very stringent. For example, you are saying that, like my church now, the choir is made of about 20 persons. We've been told that only 4 persons can sing. We've been told that you can't pass the microphone around. And the wireless mic, for example, what they want to see is that if it's you that you are holding it, you must be the one to hold it throughout the service.
Some denomination might not be able to afford
and
4
then
wireless
you should use the mask.
at the same time.
You should use the mask. It's extremely difficult for our people to use the mask
To sing.
for long periods, whether for singing or even to talk. Some will say they are using the mask and they will leave their nose uncovered. That's like stripping yourself to your underpants. What is you can't use the mask and leave your nose. No.
You must cover your mouth.
Yes.
Cover your nose.
That is even the most dangerous area, because through it, once the fluid from someone goes through it, it goes straight to your lungs. That's the place that you must never leave uncovered. But our people will say they are wearing masks, they leave it like this. So it's difficult, all of those conditions that have been laid down.
Like my own church now. I read it online this morning now that if you're above 70, please stay away.
Yes.
If you are
because
still
they are vulnerable. They are vulnerable.
If you have children younger than 18,
yes. Many of us have not seen our parents for some time. because we could be asymptomatic and be carrying the virus without knowing. And the fact that it does not manifest in any way does not mean you are not a carrier. And you can easily infect an elderly person and cause the person's death. So it's a dangerous thing. They are staying where they are, we are communicating, but we've not seen them since March. It's dangerous. Now, for the churches, I can understand why some churches are saying, no, we won't open for now. Because they know that it's difficult to fully comply.
That those conditions,
and they want to
are
comply.
actually tough.
They want to be seen as people who obey the laws of the land, as stipulated by the Bible. And if they cannot be sure that they will fully comply, they will rather stay away. I believe that that people should not be held back from worshiping their Maker. When that time comes, that we can see clearly that we are defeating this pandemic, we should all be able to go to church and rejoice and be thankful to our Maker. I think that's the way some pastors see this, and they believe that no, this really is not the time. I know that. I think they start too. They have not opened.
They are not.
Latter,
Chris Okotie too.
Pastor Bakare's church.
Yeah, Pastor,
you know,
former
so
Latter Assembly.
Okotie was quoting something else.
No, Okotie was saying that, so
That
you can't say
wearing
face
mask,
so
mask
it is
is
all when all the conditions.
he said the Bible is that the Bible is against wearing mask, and he compared it to tearing of the veil and all that. So that it has a
When
different
all those
reason.
conditions are no longer there, they can open their church.
Oh, it is well, as we always say, it is well.
It is well. Now, finally, the governorship race in Ondo State is heating up. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, who is the APC flag bearer in the October election, is weighing aggrieved party leaders, including the former chairman of the party, Isaac Kekemeke, and the senator representing his own constituency in the National Assembly, Professor Ajayi Boroface. As political parties perfect strategies, Aketi is mending fences ahead of the election, urging them all to work for the party's victory. I think this is what we recommended before the primary election, and they went into that primary, and Aketi had a resounding victory. He won.
As would have been expected.
The resounding victory. He didn't need any. The runner-up was so far away from him. It wasn't as keenly contested as it was
as the last one
4 years ago.
Yes.
So he had the party machinery, party structure with him. So, but he still had to appeal because of the competition outside his own political party and within his political party for the bigger election too. And the strong man of Ondo North, that's Ajayi Boroface, he had to reach out to Professor Boroface. Professor Boroface is not even contest.
The truth is, we told him at that time, we warned him that if he wanted to be re-elected, he had to make peace with these people. You know, the governor was saying, no, I'm not going to beg them. I'm not begging them to support me, this and that. But politics is about dynamism. It's an interest-driven game. Yes, but you have to be tactical. As a politician, you can't say, no, they are your party members. Otherwise, what happened in Bauchi could happen to you.
Even
what happened in Adamawa could happen to you.
Presidential election in Ondo State.
You know that one, he was not the candidate there. So that's why I'm using this example. You know, it happened there, they lost the National Assembly seats where they could have won. So now you are on the ballot. If you tell aggrieved party members that, look, it doesn't matter whether you support me or not, I'm not begging you to support me. No, you want to lose. When you are talking like that, you want to self-destruct. So the governor has done the right thing, and he surprised a lot of us that immediately he won the primaries, he reached out to these people. He went to their homes. I said, look, I want your support.
I saw him with Olusaloke. I saw him with...
Look at someone like Ajayi Boroface that you talked about earlier. Mimiko didn't support him in 2015. He defeated Mimiko's candidate.
That's not...
Akeredolu didn't support him in 2019.
He held his own.
He held his own, defeated Akeredolu.
Proving himself as the strong man of...
candidate. That's the lawyer.
Professor Tunji Abayomi.
That's
I don't
Tunji
think that
Abayomi.
one can win his local government.
No, don't leave him alone. Shebi he was supported by a governor. I see the name.
You see-
You just
Abayomi.
you just want to tax it. Now, so that kind of person, you need him on your side. The Asiwaju of Akoko land is a big man in politics. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Now, the governor has gone there, and you have Olushola Oke.
Yes.
In that part of the state,
Riverine area. Yeah.
in that part of the state,
SOD.
he is the most valuable politician in terms of what he can do. He has never failed to win Okitipupa and Ilaje. So with him on your side, as the governor Aketi now, you want to be sure that, okay, if I win the north with the support of the Asiwaju of Akoko land, I can go and hunt in the south as well,
some parts
with
of the south.
Olushola Oke, who is the dominant politician from that area, and a Gagu person, from the beginning. With that support, you can get some votes there, and then the central, you still have to work hard and grab some of the local governments there. So that is a strategy with those people, and Kekemeke too. When you look at Kekemeke's CV, his CV is one of the best from that state. That is the person who built the APC in that state.
Brilliant
Whatever
man.
you say about
Brilliant liar.
Kekemeke, former
Brilliant.
chairman of NECO,
Brilliant.
former attorney general of the state, former
brilliant.
works commissioner in the state.
No.
He built the
Straight up.
APC in that state from the scratch and led the APC to victory. APC defeated the PDP and took over control of that state. Thanks to Kekemeke. When you have Kekemeke on your side, what is it again that you are looking for? You have Segun Abraham, or it is from Makoko. So the governor has done the right thing by going to meet these people instead of his former belligerent posture, like somebody who does not need them. He has shown now that he needs them. Gentlemen, I want you to work for me.
Bolade.
Yes.
Yes, looking at Aketi, a lot of people will tell you that his main headache is going to be Eyitayo Jegede from the People's Democratic Party, because he ran against Eyitayo Jegede as when he wasn't the governor, he won Eyitayo Jegede, but PDP, they're saying that the PDP of 4 years ago is different from the PDP we have now in Ondo State, and they've shown strength in the 2019 election.
Well, they showed strength in 2019 election. PDP has always been strong in Ondo State. Even in 1999, when you had the very strong Afenifere hold in the West, the old Afenifere in the recent of United Afenifere, it was only in Ondo State that we had about 30-something percent, 35% of votes for the PDP. In the other states, they had about 15% and all that. And thereafter, you had Agagu coming in one way or the other. So it's always been fairly strong there. And that's why somebody like Aketi cannot afford to say, I do not care, I can go it alone. No, he can't go it alone. Once the wall opens up, the lizard will find a way to make a home therein. So he's decided to do the right thing now. Like Jide said, in the north where you had Akoko and Owo, he is from Owo. You get that quite a number of people from Owo will naturally have their sympathy for him. And in the north, you have Borofis and you have Segun Abraham. Then, if they have come together to support him, it means that he has sealed up the north, the Ondo north for himself. Then in the south, like he said too, you have Olushola Oke and you have Kekemeke. Both of them are from there. Kekemeke is an Ijo. You can say it's Ijo minority, but he has his hold on on his people there, who see him as the object of integrity, of purity, somebody who will not in any way betray them. Yes. So to that extent, he has always been there. He's been secretary to government, he's been works commissioner, he's been attorney general, he's been NECO chairman. So he's been all that. All through, he has been steadfast for his people. And people see genuineness in him. So when you have Olushola Oke and Kekemeke supporting the Ilaje and the Ijos coming together, you are likely to have very good turnout for the APC in the south. It's only in the central that they are going to have serious, because the Akure people they have their Jegede. So you don't know whether he should be able to make efforts to get some votes from there. because that's the capital of the state. It should be for everybody. And then in Ondo side, that's where you have Mimiko. Mimiko is still a factor to whatever extent you can say. It's neither here nor there at the moment. But I'm sure he will make up his mind before
day,
election.
you will know where he is.
You know where he belongs.
That's
Because
the way.
Mimiko is still the father branding Zenith Labour
On
Party now.
election day, people will know where he belongs. Because he will give instructions to the supporters.
For people to go and vote. And one other thing is that the governor should consolidate his own base. A lot of people will say Owo. If it's Owo, they don't expect the number of people that came out in APC from the APC for the primaries in Owo. And that shows that it might be having problem within Owo.
But with the primaries are gone now. So, and you can see that one of the good things that I did after the primaries was to reach out to everyone. So I believe that in the spirit of the reconciliation, he would also have met some of these people who came out to challenge him from his base. He is looking like a born-again person now. Because the Aketi that we used to know is a strong-headed person. Once he makes up his mind, this is what I want to do, doesn't really care.
You know? President himself.
Yes, but you know, this is politics. This is politics. And
this is not low.
Hard-boned politicians would want you to come to their level. They will want you to be flexible, you know, in dealing with them. So you may have your strength of conviction that yes, this is what is right, this is what I want. But in dealing with politicians, you must show flexibility. The people who succeed in politics are the people who show flexibility and who are very receptive to different ideas and to different people. Why do people like Asiwaju so much? Because today you could be his enemy, but he will be the first to draw you close. He does not have a permanent enemy. He will draw you close, and before you know it, you will see that the same person that was his enemy some days back is the one working for him now, campaigning for him. I've seen him across party lines, you know. So this is the thing, and this is a lesson for Aketi, because once you make up your mind to reach out in this way, there's no way you will fail.
It's as if there's a tendency to undermine or to underrate the PDP candidates, but it's coming up strong now.
No, I don't know. We are talking about Aketi. I'm not underrating anyone, for example. I've not underrated anybody, especially at this stage. And as I always say, I like to make predictions like 3 days to an election. There are some people who could decamp, you know, and they will affect the outcome of the election. It's a normal thing. There are people who could suddenly come to your side. For example, some months back, we never saw this coming. There are people like Boro Fees, Olusola Oke, and the rest of them. You saw this Kekemeke granted you an interview, and it was an angry interview.
Very angry.
But you can see today that they are back together as brothers. So in politics, things change. No one is underrating Jegede. No one is underrating him. On the day where we want to talk about the PDP, we'll look at their strengths. We'll look at possibilities. So we are not by any means saying that this thing is a walkover for Aketi. I'll be the last person to say that.
Because it's still October.
It's still going to be an interesting contest
for everybody. I want to thank you, Mobolade Omonijo. Thank you so much. Thank you for your contribution.
My pleasure.
And BQ himself, the Metro, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Thank you for always being there.
Okay.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangouts on our platforms showing on the screen. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun saying, please stay safe and God bless Nigeria.